I am Marwan Cameron, and this is The Conduit. All right, y'all. It is February 14, 2022. It is Valentine's Day. All right. I am glad that we have a full crew here today. Fantastic. So I'm going to give another horn for that. So exciting. We got a lot planned for you today. Definitely want to welcome back Jill. We haven't seen her in a while, so it is definitely good to see you, Jill. So how are you doing today?
Good, thank you. It's good to be back.
Absolutely. Katie, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Marwan. Thanks.
And Matt, how are you doing today?
It's a pleasure. Always good to be here on Monday.
I love it. I love it. Well, happy Valentine's Day to the three of you and to the audience watching out there. We've got a lot to unpack and we've got a pretty busy schedule. So I'm going to just jump right in with Matt and kind of get the updates. Matt, I know you talk fast. I don't type as fast as you talk. And because you're jumping off early, bear with me, brother. I need some help.
I'll try to slow it down. I'll try to... You know, like on the podcast, when you can do like half speed when you're listening, you know, moderate.
Yeah, or you know, talk to text would be awesome, but then the errors might be pretty interesting. So, yeah, go ahead, Matt, take it away.
Yeah, awesome. So I think a little catch up from last time. I know I left some numbers in my office, so I've got the rest of the numbers for January. So in December, we processed 180 total applications. There's some duplicates in that count. I always want to remind folks because some people get rent and utility. So this is just a total count of basically payments that we've made. So December was 180 total with 1.4 million. In January, last time I had the 1.9 million, so we jumped up, but I didn't have the total number, and the total number is 223. So we had about, almost 45 more payments processed and about $500,000 more dollars. So we're really hoping that 1.9 million to 2 million will be our kind of standard mark, which will really allow us to get that money out a lot quicker than we were last year. So we're really excited about that. And the breakdown. So we really try to prioritize getting that wait list down, and we did a really good job. 129 applications or payments were from the wait list of 123. So we had 129 from our wait list.
129 from the wait list, okay. And then how many are left on the wait list right now?
We're still, we were so close, but we're not quite finished with data cleanup. So I don't want to give a number yet because it's just not quite. I talked with Carla today and the rent assistance team, and they're like, we just need a little bit longer to clean up. So I really hope next week I can give you how many are actually on the wait list, and we can do a little. And then hopefully next week, if I got accurate, and then I can bring some of the past numbers and kind of our performance there and bring that. So I know I knew you were going to ask me, Marwan, and I was really hoping I'd have it. But so 129 were from the wait list, and that's compared to December. It was 70. So we had a pretty big jump there, about 60 to jump up. And then our legal folks are ramping up kind of as expected. They went down a little bit in December, but from December it was 38. And then now in January it's 65. So there was a pretty significant jump there. And those are almost all rent payments to landlords. And these are folks that are in the eviction track. So we'll be curious to see in February if that continues to rise. And then
explain that to me again, Matt. So that was 38 in December that jumped up to 65 for people that were in the eviction process that were saved from eviction?
Correct. These are folks that are in the eviction process. So if we didn't pay, it would have resulted in an eviction. So they're either in the mediation stage with Dispute Resolution Center. They're either in the representation stage with Kitsap Legal Service, or actually in the courts with the Kitsap County court system. And those
That's a lot of families. I don't want to gloss over that. That's 38 families is a lot. 65 is a huge number. That's a big deal.
Yep, absolutely. And we're Gosh, we're hoping it doesn't rise too much more, but our partners are definitely like Dispute Resolution Center. They're kind of the first line of defense, as we've talked.
Well, Matt's got a bad signal there, so we'll wait for him to come back in. Matt, you might turn your camera off and turn it back on. Your signal's in the red there. While Matt is getting his signal together, Katie, Jill, what are your thoughts on that? And as a secondary question, I know you're not evicting at this time. At least the last time I asked that question, BHA wasn't evicting. What are your thoughts on those numbers there?
Yeah, I think it's great. And we know that the county has more money, so we offered to take more. Now it's not the numbers that Matt is talking about, but in the past, the grant that we've gotten for rental assistance has been $300,000, and we're going to double that with this next round. So hopefully that'll help a little bit. We also just, the contract with the city for their rental assistance went to their meeting last Wednesday, which was just their discussion meeting, the city council's discussion meeting, but it'll go actually to the vote at this week's Wednesday meeting. And so that's $100,000. And one thing that the city has allowed us to do is make the requirements a little bit more lenient for that program, so we can use it in the same way that we use the county's money. And then we also match that city grant with $100,000. And so they're not. We had been following those same guidelines for our matching money, but they have said you're not obligated to do that, other than we want it used in the city of Bremerton, that particular $100,000. And what that has really been has allowed us to do, which has been really helpful, is to use it for things like hotel rooms and stuff that is needed that we don't necessarily have a pot of money for. So we feel like between the city and the county getting more money, and then just being more flexible with how we can offer assistance, we'll be in a better place to help the community.
Oh, that is phenomenal. Thank you for that. All right, Matt, go ahead and jump back in there. Your signal looks great now.
I am sorry about that.
No worries.
I think it jumped over to my hotspot, so hopefully that won't happen again. But yeah, so I think we talked about some numbers, and so the next thing, I think last time we talked about a little bit about the team, and so I wanted to continue to announce that we do have some openings. So we have an HSC navigator. We have some outreach folks that are going out to encampments. We have case managers that we're hiring for. So we've got multiple positions. And then I also want to announce that we're hiring my old position, the Housing and Homelessness Services Manager, because I accepted the job of Housing Director. So I'm very humbled and honored. Thank you.
Congratulations. Wow, that's awesome. So your old job is available right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're hiring for that right now. And so if anyone is interested, please apply. So we have a number of openings, from outreach folks to navigators to case managers and management administration. So yeah, we definitely have openings. So please apply. And thank you, Marwan. You've been so good about helping us advertise and get the word out. So appreciate it.
Well, let me ask you some questions there, Mr. Garrett. Since you have moved on up and you're in another position now, and you are an expert because you were in that position, what would be a good candidate for that? What kind of skills and abilities would a person need to bring to the table?
Yeah, it can be a range. And even with this position, just like last time, we can experience can substitute for education. Education can substitute for experience. And so it really, there's not just one single type of person that I think would be good for this job. But in general, I think obviously some leadership experience is helpful because you are managing a team, right? And those skills of actually leading, and we believe in a servant leadership model. And so serving staff and supporting staff and being able to listen, mediate concerns. So I think that's an important skill. There's also a lot of, money management. So if you've had any experience managing budgets or programs that have distributed money, because that is definitely a piece that is difficult. And then, working and building coalitions, a lot of, I've said it a lot, Marwan, but none of us do anything alone. And it's working with BHA, it's working with Housing Kitsap, it's working with all the buy-in for partners. And so building coalitions is a big piece. So you have to really be a networker and a people person, and you have to listen to feedback and to help build coalitions, because that's how you get stuff done in our community, especially when we have such big challenges and problems we're trying to solve. So I think those are probably the top three, I would say.
All right. Well, we like to keep it 100 on this show. So what are a few drawbacks or some negatives that you found in the position? How long were you in that position?
Almost 3 years.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So I was started on Halloween of I believe it was 2018, and then so 2019 to 2020, 21.
So you basically served through the pandemic in that position.
Through the pandemic. Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of had 1 year pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic started. So so a little over 3 years, and it's the drawbacks are a lot of what is common in our industry is it's a lot of work, right, for not comparable pay if you're going to, especially compared to the business community, and it's really, really tough. You see you have demands from above, right? You're supporting your staff from below, and then you got partner agencies on the side, right? So you're kind of like Stretch Armstrong being pulled in a lot of different directions, and it's good work, but it is very difficult. So I would say that's the number one drawback is it's a lot of time and a lot of effort, and you really have to have a passion for it. So so definitely if you're not passionate about management and getting into those issues, it's because it's a whole can of worms for sure.
All right. So last question about that before we move on. You had 1 year learning the position, and then you go right into a pandemic, which made things, exponentially tougher and more stressful. So what did you do for self-care? What can you recommend to folks seeking that position or whatever they're doing? That's important.
Yeah, I know. I think a few mentors and even some podcasts have really helped in kind of this area, especially in our world. And Jill and Katie, I'm sure you can, and Marvel, all of us can relate, right? Because you'll never get the job and all your to-do list done to where you want it to be, right? Like you'll never be at that point where you're confident that, oh yeah, I got all my tasks done, this done, this done. So you have to be able to, choose, triage, and figure out, okay, what can we do with this, and try and sometimes that's really difficult because you prioritize the wrong way. So I think that's the first thing, is being okay with not everything being perfect, because it never will be, and it's always a really, really tough game of prioritization and figuring out, okay, what does need to, we really got to nail this, and what can this be good enough, and this we'll put off until later. And that's really hard for a lot of folks. It was really challenging for me. I know early on I didn't I misprioritized a lot of stuff, and staff and my team and myself and partners suffered for it. And so it's a steep learning curve. But that would be the first thing, is kind of learning that prioritization. And then the second thing is you have to find ways to go home. Whether that's flexible schedule or leave. You got to find ways to actually take care of yourself and take time off and completely unplug. And so for me, that's, I like to get out in the mountains. And so sometimes it's once a week, or, taking breaks to get out, completely unplug and not do any work, not have your email beeping and that type of stuff. So that saved me. But I'm still far from perfect. I got a lot to learn, because it's still, I still take it home sometimes, and I still, poor Ashley, my wife, she's very supportive, but she's helped me through a lot of really stressful days. So I think it's an ongoing journey, and I've definitely not arrived.
I think this is actually a really important question. I'd love to expand that to Katie as communications director and Jill as the executive director of an organization. What do you do for self-care? Homelessness is its own pandemic, and things are unfortunately getting worse, and there's only so much we can do. And that can be really, really hard emotionally. So what do you ladies do?
Katie, I'll let you start.
I really like Matt's answers, and and it's a hard question. It's probably one of the most difficult questions, because I think in this industry we don't do it enough, right? So it's hard to admit that we just don't take care of ourselves as much as we should, especially it's this industry, people get burnt out a lot, and they work past their burnt out point. So it's really hard because you think that's the expectation. So I think for me, I definitely don't have any alerts on my emails. I can access my email on my phone, but there are no alerts, not on my Microsoft Teams. I actually have to go into the app to actually see if there was anything, because I've had to turn them on sometimes and they're just constantly going. And I said, nope, I'm going to make sure that that's not happening when I'm at home. And another thing is actually being okay, to add to Matt's, to be okay with your decision making. In the moment, you're confident, you're like, I'm making the decision, I'm sending this email, doing something like that. And then you second guess. We all do it. Did I make the right decision? Did I talk in a way that everybody, can hear me, what I'm trying to say? But at the end of the day, you were confident at that point. So thinking back to that, where you're confident, and just not second guessing, and just moving on and being okay about not getting things done. So those are things that just really understanding that, we can do this, and everybody's going to make mistakes, and we're going to be confident about it. So
I appreciate that. Jill?
Yeah, I would just say for me, I've been doing this for a long time. So I think one, if you don't enjoy the job, it's probably not going to be the job for you, because it's not the type of job where you can't think about it. This is going to bother you, and you're going to be trying to come up with solutions. So if you're in this industry and you're not enjoying that, or it feels too overwhelming or too stressful, this might not be the industry for you, and that's okay. For me, I enjoy it so much that even in the stressful times, I'm able to just kind of say, I think the joy of helping people, and actually, and you get to see some of those people that you help, just kind of takes the stress part, makes it manageable. It's there, but it's manageable because you are really making a difference. And a lot of people don't get that. They don't get to do that every day. So I think for me, that helps. I walk and I run. And so I make that a priority. I wouldn't say that I get a walk or a run in every single day, but most days I do. And my staff will tell you, I'll say, hey, let's go for a walk, or I'm going for a walk, I'll be back. I have a free half hour or free hour, and I do that. And so, because I just think that's just my health, and I can't let that go either. And then I think the other thing that I do is I try to make the most of my time. I try to answer my phone if I can, or if I get an email and I can respond to it, I try to do that, so that I don't have things that I'm thinking I got to get back to. I just try to do it in the moment if I can. Sometimes that has to happen at night, and that's okay for me. I don't put that on my staff, but for me, I sleep better if I've taken care of something. And then kind of just the last thing, if I wake up in the night, in the middle of the night, thinking about a problem, I don't consider that like a bad thing. I consider that, okay, so I've had some rest and there's something coming into my mind. Just try to use that as time to have a new way of thinking of it. And I always have paper and pen right next to my bed. So if a thought or idea comes in, I will jot it down and just then I can get to it the next day or something. I generally don't get out of bed because it doesn't usually get to that problem, but it has, and I've gotten out of bed and worked on something to solve it. So that's kind of how I deal with things, and I don't feel overwhelmed with stress.
I love it. So, I mean, please take note of that. You are hearing from folks that are in a high stress environment, and what they do to get through on a daily basis and continue to serve with the zest and zeal, and to make an impact here in the community. So, those are powerful things. And oftentimes people don't have access to ask questions like that. It's so kind of, we're serving people. So it's like, okay, you're here. The questions are based around, housing or whatever your profession is. And not really centered more toward, well, what do you do? How do you get through every day when it's really tough and these things are happening? So I really appreciate taking the time and just providing that information for the audience for that. So that's huge. Matt, let's go back to you now. You have a ton of stats, and we got about 20 minutes before you got to hop off. So jump on in there.
Yeah, well, first, Jill and Kate, that was super interesting. Thank you, Marwan. You're right. We don't often ask those questions, so that was brilliant. I love those, Jill and Katie. So thank you for sharing. But thank you, Marwan. I know I would ask you, Marwan, but I know we're running on time, so maybe another time we could do a self-care podcast. But that would be awesome.
That's actually a good idea.
So the next set of data, Marwan, and I know you've been asking this for a little bit. The county just released this. We'll have maybe in a month at the quarter, but this was up until December, and so this has a lot of good information. I will put this in the chat so you can bring it on up and screen share.
Okay.
And this is information. This is some aggregate data that Corey Derenberger at the county. Big shout out to Corey. He's another unsung hero that does a lot of behind the scenes work to help keep all the agencies floating. But this is data from September 1st of 2020 to December 31st, 2021. And this is on the county's website. And there's a overall stat since September 2020, not just KCR, but the as a community. So this includes BHA's numbers, Housing Kitsap, Coffee Oasis. This is all the KEPA, not just partners, but rental assistance distributors, which includes Housing Kitsap, Coffee Oasis, Bremerton Housing Authority, and us. And so together, since September of 2020, we've distributed almost $13 million to 2,399 low-income households, and 67% have been under 30% area median income. So this is extremely low-income category. As you can see there, there's what that is for a household of 1, 2, 3, and 4. So a household of 4, if you're under 30% AMI, you're making less than $27,000 a year for a household of 4. So that is not a lot. And if you continue to scroll down, the big thing that I wanted to highlight is we actually have our racial equity performance metrics. Before that, that's a good number too. So the average household got almost $6,000. So that was our average amount of assistance for folks across that time period. And so right now, you're scrolling back up. Yep, that's what that $5,391 is the average, and that, as to be expected, has actually slowly ticked up. It started around 3,000, and then just as the pandemic has continued and the consequences of COVID-19 have expanded, it's now closer to that 6,000. But here we go. So here are the benchmarks, and this is a big credit to our Buy and For outreach partners. Hope 360, Survive and Change, Kitsap Immigrant Assistance Center, Gather Together, Grow Together, Mount Zion Partnering for Youth Achievement, and Homeless Poverty Management, or Foundation for Homeless and Poverty Management. And we have not just met, but in many cases doubled, if not tripled, our goals. So these goals were set by Commerce, and they're a pretty clever metric. I think they're working on even better ones down the line. But instead of just focusing on the census data, we know that a lot of our populations, our minority populations, have been underrepresented as far as social services go. So instead of just saying if you had 4 to 5% of the Black community in your census data, right? Instead of having that be your metric, they said we want to do how many of the Black or how many of the American Indian or Alaska Native are actually in poverty. So they actually used poverty numbers and said that is the percentage, because as this is just evident of our system, but there's so many of these communities that are overrepresented in poverty compared to their census data. And if that's confusing, essentially we matched up the numbers that were in poverty, not just our census data. And so that's what you can see there is that gray mark for American Indian Alaska Native is 2.5%. Black African American is 5.1%, and person of color is 29.3%. So that is for.
So let me jump in there, Matt, really quick, just so everyone is clear. So benchmark, the gray slashes we're looking at is the minimum goal based on Kitsap census, and that's based on the poverty level, which is this year, the 30% AMI. Is that where they're?
I think that is actually based at 50%. So they did, I believe, but I will look that up, Marwan, of what metric they used. It might have been federal. It might have been 200% federal poverty level. They're somewhat equivalent, but I don't think it was 30%. I think it was a little bit higher than that, but I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. And so based on that metric, whatever that is here in Kitsap County, American Indian or Alaska Native is 2.5% of their population is in poverty.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I know, Marwan, you and I, we've talked about some of these goals, and I think you probably have some better context of how some of this stuff is calculated, or even how some of these metrics are even flawed. So I want to put that caveat in there, is that even though this is a step in the right direction, I think there's still a lot of work to do as far as actually counting the folks, especially in our minority communities, people of color that need to actually get really good data, because some folks even argue that this might even be an undercount as far as at least goals go. And so I know Commerce is potentially looking at other ways to do it. Did you have any comment on that, Marwan?
Well, how about I push it to Jill first. Jill, do you have any insight on this on this data here?
This is the first time seeing it, so I need to read through it. But I'm really glad it's out. I'll look at it and see if I can be more helpful next Monday.
Okay, yeah, we'll touch back on this. What I would say is just looking at the data and not having a clear understanding what it is. I don't want to try to interpret it and be wrong, but seeing that the numbers are double for American Indian and then also Black or African American, we're talking about 3 times there in that regard, is phenomenal, and not in a good way. That there are so many folks that need help. The census was created and it says, okay, 5.1%, but it's actually so much more. So that's already hidden for the people that ended up getting help by using the buy-in forms, which is fantastic. But the fact that the numbers are actually that high is very dismaying to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. This does look like numbers that they did get some of this from the census. So we'll take a look.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the 2.5, the 5.1, the 29%, that's all from census data. And so, and they had a measure of income, and that's how they kind of took up a poverty count. But Marwan, I think to your point, you can look at it 2 ways, right? One, the blue is our performance, right? And so we're really excited that we not only met our goals, but exceeded our goals. And so, and that's a huge, a lot of kudos to our buy-in for partners, because we would not have done that without them. And all the because this is part BHA numbers, housing Kitsap, so this is everyone's success. But I agree, Marwan. The other way to look at it is, man, we really blew by this. Are those because we basically found that we have this many people in need, right?
Right.
So then the other way to look at it is, man, our benchmarks might have been really wrong because there's actually a lot more people that met the criteria that actually were in need. And so that might be another way to kind of look at this of like, oh, maybe we need better benchmarks. So there's always, two different ways. But I think, at one level, yes, very positive is that, our Buy and For partnership, is largely successful. And I think a lot of the work done there, and has not been easy work by any stretch of the imagination, a lot of really long hours, especially from the Buy and For components. But I think you can also read this as, maybe we need to take back a look at data. And I know Commerce already is. So these benchmarks came from Commerce. And I think they're looking at different ways, looking at how to integrate not just census data, but maybe HMIS data and DSHS data. So they're actually looking at combining, right, into kind of to get a little better look at what is going on. But
and let me just say, people, we can feel so disempowered and helpless to make a difference, but you actually can make a difference through the census. It is really important. I know when they came, I was resistant and hesitant and slow to get my census data in, but based on the census is how money flows into the county. And so it is super important that you participate in that, because with all the millions of dollars that have come in just this short amount of time that we're looking at here, what was that, $12.9 million? That's huge for this county, but it's not enough, right? We're still facing these challenges and issues. And so if Commerce, which is federal, doesn't know what the actual numbers are, then they're not going to put all the dollars in that they would normally otherwise do to help us here in this area. So the census is really important. So there is things that we can actually do, and these things aren't hard. So I just wanted to kind of put that note out there. Okay, Matt, go ahead.
No, that's exactly right, Marwan. I just want to echo that too, is that census data we all know census data is important, and for a whole variety of reasons, but this is definitely a big way that people can have an impact just by filling out the census. So I thank you for bringing that up. So yeah, I think that unless there's any questions, I just wanted to point people, this is on the Kitsap County website in the Office of Housing and Homeless Services. I don't know if you want to put the link in the chat, but there's a lot of really good information on there that they post publicly. So
that is not the link. That just came.
What's that?
That was not the link. That was the link to come on to the show. So let's not do that one.
Yes.
Disregard that one, everyone. This is the link for that data there. And if you ever have problems finding this information, you can always give any of us a call, and we'll help you to navigate to that information, because we want you to have access to the data so that you understand it. And as Jill was saying, we'll come back Monday with a little bit more information. And matter of fact, we'll be talking to Commerce here in about 30 minutes. So I may ask them about that as soon as we're done, and see if we can get some answers today to bring back next Monday, which would be awesome.
Yeah,
so thank you for that.
Yep, and I'll also put the link to the census website where they got this data if you want to post that.
Sure.
And then there's also let's see, I don't know if I can't attach documents in the chat, can I?
No, but if you pull it up, you actually can share your screen.
Okay.
So shout out to Prioritization from the Kitsap Regional Library. She's like an expert when she comes on the first Tuesday of every month. She takes over the podcast and puts stuff up on her side.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's a
you're
good
the only
idea.
one that does that.
Do you mind if I share the screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I will go ahead. Let's see.
So if you're looking there, it probably looks like it's probably at the bottom, and you'll have a screen sharing icon next to your microphone or camera.
Yeah, I see the screen share, and I'm hitting it. I think I've maybe done it once before, but oh, there it goes. Okay.
So one of the things that I would definitely be interested in also is the 4.4 for American Indian and Alaska Native, and the 16.4 for Black and African American, and the 42.9 for person of color. I would love to know what the actual numbers of families and individuals that is serving. I think that would be powerful to know how many people that is.
For sure. And so this is the sheet. So I think you should be looking at an Excel sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And so this is the numbers that they pulled. So if you go, this is by Commerce's website. I can put the link to that. And so if you can filter by Kitsap, and so this is where numbers came from. So you can
Matt,
see.
could you put the link to that in the chat?
Yeah, and Jill, this is the same one we used for the HV program.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is where we got some of those numbers, but yeah, so 8, 29, 5, and then 2. Yeah, I'll definitely put the link to the Commerce website where I got this in the chat, and this information is publicly available.
Well, what I appreciate about this, Matt, is that the transparency and the willingness to share this information out, because folks don't know where to look, right? You
Yep.
have questions and you wonder, how equitable services are being provided here in the county. It's like, well, I don't know the first place to look, and so this is really important information to share out and talk about it for those of us that we're just looking at numbers. Like, how do I interpret this? What is this actually saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really powerful. So I really appreciate you doing that for us.
Yeah,
I
no,
do
oh, sorry, Jill, go ahead.
No, I was just echoing that. I appreciate this too. Thank you.
Yeah, and in a big, I also want to give credit. Commerce is the one that really driving this, and there's a gentleman, Kyle, that we've worked with that really heads a lot of this. So Kyle from Commerce should get a lot of the credit. And he's put a lot of these metrics together. And I'm not sharing anymore, right? You can all see my face, not the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they've kind of put this, and he's looking at other stuff. So I do want to give credit to the Department of Commerce, because they've heard a lot of feedback, and I think they should get some credit here. But thank you for that. And we want to be as transparent as possible about this, and because it's a community. It's a community process, and so no one, especially us, we don't want to be making decisions, alone. So, yeah. So I think the next thing, Marwan, is we got through our data. We talked about our team. I want to talk about a few of the program updates. And so the first is the fact-based proxy. And so we've started using this in the new year, and I'm going to put it in the chat so you can put it up. And essentially what the fact-based proxy is, it's a modeling tool that Commerce has developed, and you can actually look at it on that same link. So in the guidelines that in the same way you can find the performance metrics, you can also find the fact-based proxy. And essentially it's a statistical modeling tool. And what they did was they looked at folks that are in these counties, and if a majority of folks in that county are under 80% area median income, then you don't need income documentation or source documentation to qualify, because essentially, more often than not, if you're applying for assistance in that county, you are under 80% area median income and you qualify for the program. So in our county, these are the zip codes. These are the zip codes that qualify. So we still, remember, our county, we're still prioritizing 50% area median income. The tool was just 80%, but we're still prioritizing 50% area median income. So we still are working with folks that are in that category. But folks, if you live in this zip code, you do not need to provide source documentation for income. And so that is something that we wanted to let folks know. It's actually helping move. We've been doing this for about the past month, and it's helping move applications a lot faster. And like we've talked before, we're trying to take any advantage we can to try to get funds out quickly and to help people. We know sometimes pay stubs are annoying to get a hold of. and they can be difficult for some folks. Some businesses aren't even around to give the pay stubs. So there's a lot of reasons why this is helpful for folks. But yeah, any questions, Jill?
So can we apply this to the money that we get from the county as well?
Yes, for folks that, well, I think the KEPA funds are for folks that are in your units. So, theoretically, you would already have income, right? Because they had to qualify to get into your units. So I think, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but your other community funds are CDBG and some of the other, and so that this wouldn't apply to CDBG or other county programs. This is just for KEPA. CDBG still have some of their other guidelines for rent assistance. So you wouldn't, even though CDBG flows through the county, my understanding is that CDBG is not using a fact-based proxy. This is just TRAP and ERA funds that flow through the KEPA program.
Okay, and I think we are going to start offering rental assistance to people who are not our residents. I'm not completely positive about that, but I believe Andy is looking into that, and that's why we're getting that extra money. So I'll tell her to get a hold of you and make sure that if we can use this for those funds, we will.
Yeah, definitely. Let's chat for sure. If you're all going to start using KEPA funds for regular community members, but we'll also just need a chat because there's a lot of data sharing issues that we'll need to resolve for that. Yeah, but no, that's great. That's awesome if that's happening.
Okay.
Yeah,
Please
Marwan,
note your zip code, everyone.
What's that, Marwan?
I'm just telling the audience to note their zip code. If they see it there, then they don't need to provide that source data for their income.
Awesome. And so the next big piece is the wait list, and what we've kind of been calling second round or first round. So since 2021, when the KEPA program really got started, we've just had folks come in one time. We can help them up to 15 months. But for some folks, they've needed additional assistance and they haven't maxed out that 15 months. And so what we've done in the meantime is if you are on the eviction track, we'll prioritize you, meaning you're working with Kitsap Legal Services, Dispute Resolution Center, or Northwest Justice Project, you will get forwarded for an additional round, right? The reason we weren't for a while opening that up to the general public is we still had a wait list full of folks that didn't have any assistance in 2021 at all, right? So we didn't want to just open that up for anybody. Well, we are starting to change that. We're getting there. So what we're starting to do now is that anyone can get on the wait list. If you've already received assistance in 2021 and have not maxed out your 15 months, you can get on the wait list. But what we're doing is something called dynamic prioritization. So that means that the folks that haven't gotten any help in 2021 will always be above someone that gotten help in 2021. So a person that's applying for a second round of assistance will always be below, no matter when they turn in their application, the last person that has not received any assistance in 2021. Now, as we're getting close to what we're calling functional zero, which means that basically we'll serve as many people as we're taking in. As we're getting close to getting that wait list down to almost zero, then we'll start pulling the second rounders. And then when someone hasn't gotten any assistance, we'll pop them to the top of the list. But we're calling that functional zero, which means basically in a given week, we'll be able to serve everyone. Then maybe the next week, the wait list builds a little bit, but then in the following week, we get it back down. And so we're opening it up to everyone. And as availability or as bandwidth opens up, then we will start serving those folks that already got assistance once. Now, again, if you are in the eviction process, we are still prioritizing you, meaning you are getting a referral because you're about to be evicted. So there's an urgency. And even cases right now that we are seeing with 14-day notices, we are putting those over and to be served for as a prioritization. Like if they got 14 days, they can still be served with a second round. But just the general folks, like if your landlord is not evicting you, you can sign up, come down, get your name on the wait list. And as we slowly work through that, then we'll start pulling names. So
Matt, two questions there.
Yeah.
So day one comes straight to KCR. Do they still get prioritization if they go through the buy-in fours?
Buy-in fours are still getting prioritized. Now, we're not quite to functional zero yet. So right now, everyone for a second round, including the buy-in four second rounds, are sitting on a wait list, basically. So even the buy-in four folks are sitting. Buy-in four first rounders are still coming through, no problem.
Right.
The second rounders are going to sit there unless they have a 14-day notice or referral from DRC, KLS, or Northwest Justice Project.
Gotcha. And that's my second question. So let's say you're waiting to get a second round of funding, but you have an eviction. You could actually jump up because you're in the process over someone that has not received funding the first time.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. That's good.
Correct.
That's really good to know.
Yep. That's exactly right. So if you're still haven't received any assistance and are on the wait list, you will get jumped by someone, even if it's their second round of assistance, because they're in the eviction process.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're now even doing that for folks. If they have a 14-day notice and they are on the wait list and they have, even just letting us know that 14-day notice, we'll prioritize them because we know the next step is going to DRC, and DRC their flow is increasing a lot. So we've expanded to the 14-day notice to we will now prioritize.
Okay. And so what I wanted to ask you, because I know you got to jump off here in a second.
Yeah.
So when you were reporting the numbers from December 38 to 65 that were in the eviction process,
Yep.
What that basically is saying is that we are seeing people that are being evicted, and that's almost double from December to January. Is that an accurate statement there?
Yep, that's an accurate statement. Yeah. So and that's what we think that landlords, as they continue to ramp up, right, the courts, everything's starting to kind of move back to normal as far as eviction goes. We think that's just going to continue to rise, and so that's why we're not fully saying for the second rounders that aren't at imminent threat of eviction, right? You're kind of the lowest priority. We'll get to you when we can, but we want to make sure we have the capability to serve the folks that are at imminent risk. No matter, if they're at any point in that eviction process, from 14-day to DRC to KLS or the court themselves, that we can prevent that eviction if they still have months that we can qualify for, and most can. And so that's kind of our ethos of why we're doing it like this.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And just, for the community to understand that, the moratorium of eviction is over, and you may not see it, but it is happening now. So 38 to 65 is significant, and those are the ones that were saved. I don't know if you have data on those that weren't saved. Obviously, everyone is going to come through KCR or one of the other agencies if they're evicted, but it would be interesting to know what those numbers are for those that were actually successfully evicted from their unit in the last month. I think that's important to note also, and that's a pretty significant jump. And if you're saying that the trend is that this is going to continue to increase, folks need to definitely be cognizant of that and govern themselves accordingly. Do come and seek help, please.
And Matt, I know you have to go, but I have a question. Is it still the best thing that if people are at imminent risk of being evicted, that we still send them to the online KEEP application on your website?
So that's always the starting point. Like if you haven't engaged with us at all, then definitely you can start there, because that at least gets you in the system. But if you have that 14-day notice, so you can now get prioritized by coming down to our office or call. Once you're in the system, then you can call us and email that 14-day notice to either our front desk or call or go to DRC. So both of those pathways now, it used to be just DRC, but they were starting to get really heavy call volumes. And so now we've worked it out that anyone, even if you're at the very beginning, which is just that 14-day notice, but you got to let us know that, right? And so that's either dropping it off or talking with our front desk. And you can also attach it to the Keepa application. So when you're filling it out online, you can attach the 14-day notice. We have a spot for attachments, so you can attach it to the application and
Just be really clear that you have this notice.
and in the email. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
and if you feel like you're not getting a response, you can always call us. No, thank you, Katie, for bringing. That's such very practical. I love it. Always bringing where, who, what. I know sometimes I get my head in the clouds here.
Yeah, it's just I know you all have lots of calls you're getting, and how do we get up to that front of the line? Is it still an online link? It's nice to know that there's other ways just to make it accessible that they won't get forgotten. And so once they email, what should they expect? Should they expect a call within a couple days or a day or?
Yeah, typically. So if everything goes well, we'll get you into the system within 48 hours so that you're actually in our system. Then if you don't get a call, like if you have that 14-day notice and you attached it and you send the email and you don't get a call, within that 48 hours, then maybe we missed it. And that's when call our front desk and be like, hey, I got a 14-day notice here. And then they will move them over to be prioritized. So now, like you said, if you're already working with DRC and like dispute resolution center, if you're already in mediation, then they're going to refer you, and that's the next step anyways. So we have a lot of kind of checks and balances on that, but we are trying to scoop the folks that are even prior to getting to DRC. We're trying to move them over because
it's a scary time, and it's nice to know that they can reach out at least and get directed in the right place. Okay.
In our front desk, 360-473-2035. You can always kind of check on the status of your application. And like Katie said, if you don't, in that 48 to 72 hours, 2 to 3 days, if you're not hearing anything, call us and make sure we know, hey, I attached a 14-day notice, make sure so that we can prioritize.
All right, Matt, will you drop that in the chat because you said it so fast, and then you need to jump off, my friend, because you have 7 minutes.
Yes, I do.
I know you needed more time to prepare there.
But congrats, Matt, and this exciting times, and we hope to still see you on here even with the new manager.
Absolutely. No, I told my one, I'm still committed to coming on. I might every now and then have to miss one, but as much as possible, I'm still coming on.
Yeah, congratulations, Matt.
Absolutely. Matt, would you do me a solid and just let those folks know that I will be about 15 minutes late, but I will be there?
I will do, I promise. Thank you all so much. Such a pleasure. Thank you, Marwan. Have a wonderful day. I always love Mondays.
I love it. Someone else that loves Mondays now. There we go.
Hi, Matt.
So, Jill, I have a question that came in from last week. And the question is if you have a Section 8 voucher, are you able to use that voucher to purchase a home?
So currently we don't have that program, but there is a housing choice voucher home ownership program. And I believe I know it is something that BHA has had in the past. And I think that there is some interest in bringing it back. So it is something that we're talking about and exploring, but currently no, not with a BHA or a housing Kitsap voucher.
All right, you can. I should say here, purchase a home, but at this time, BHA does not have that capability or that program.
We don't have that program, but we would like to. We're very interested in it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. Do you know how that works?
It works in much the same way as a voucher that you would be paying your portion to your landlord, and then BHA would pay our portion to your landlord. The difference here is the landlord is the mortgage holder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. Please let us know if you get that. That sounds pretty fantastic there.
I've had it at another housing authority that I worked at, and it's, that program is so important because that is actually creating generational security and wealth through home ownership. So it is a really important program, and if we can get it here in Bremerton, we certainly will.
So Rob Dent says, thank you for that information, Jill. And Nick Gloney says, what is the income threshold for that program, if you know? And again, Nick, that they don't currently have that program, but they are looking to get it. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with it because it's been several years since I was involved in it, but I believe the income threshold is going to be the same as it would be to get a voucher.
Oh, okay.
So it's really very much the same. You're still serving the same people. It's just their opportunity for home ownership is there.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Thank you for that cornucopia of knowledge that you always bring. And I haven't seen you in so long. I was telling Katie, I said, I think it's been like the first week of January since Joe's been on the conduit. So give us some updates. Let us know what's going on and anything new in the world of the ED of BHA. We love acronyms here.
Yeah, I know. I had a medical thing come up that was very unexpected. So I had to have surgery, but I'm doing fine. And I've just been working from home a lot. And we've had some technology issues at work that we've been dealing with. So there's just been things that have stopped me from doing all the fun stuff that I like to do. But we're getting things solved and back on track. I will say that I was not on this call, but some of our staff were on a call with HUD last week where HUD told them, so it's just, word of mouth, told them that the HUD back in DC has our FMR survey and they're going to approve it. They said, yeah. So they wouldn't tell us the numbers, but they said that was going to happen. And it was pretty exciting because what's the gentleman's name? Is it that you got me in touch with?
Drayton Jackson?
Drayton Jackson, yes. So he and I had a great conversation, and we were talking about FMRs, and I was explaining this to him, and he was actually in DC, and he says, no, Jill, you won. And I said, what? How do you know? We haven't even got a letter. And he said, they told me back in DC that I didn't have to worry about the FMRs because ours were going to go up because Bremerton Housing Authority did a survey. So I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, that's what they told me. And I didn't know what they were talking about.
Wow. First off, let me give you a horn. And then because you talked about that in the first week of January, will you let people know what the FMR is, what that survey is, and why you did it?
Yeah, so the FMR is stands for fair market rents. And that is a calculated number that HUD gives to jurisdictions. And the reason it's an important number is because we have to use that number to establish what we can pay with a voucher. So studio voucher, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, they're all based, what we're allowed to pay for rent is all based on those fair market rents. Well, the problem comes in when those numbers are too low and you don't have buying power for the rents or for the units available in your community. That can happen for all sorts of reasons. Sometimes the HUD calculations, because they use data that is up to 5 years ago. If you're in a market where things don't change rapidly, you might be okay. But if you're in a market like Bremerton, where things are changing very rapidly, those calculations don't keep up. In addition, Bremerton has the unique situation where we're competing with the Navy ships that come in. And so that also drives not only unit availability down, but prices up. And I believe the Navy's housing allowance just went up by 10%, I want to say, which makes, and of course we want everybody to have housing, but it just makes us in a worse, less competitive shape. So when that happens, HUD says, if these are really out of alignment and you can prove that, which we can by, we can't utilize all of our vouchers. There's a variety of ways we can prove that this is affecting us. You can do your own study. So you can send out to your community a rental study and that shows what people are paying for rent. And we hired WSU to do that for us, and they did that. And then if that shows that yes, in fact, these are not fair market rents in your area, and it's very precise, of course, but you send it to HUD. And the beauty of this is HUD is only examining if you did the survey correctly. They're not saying, well, you did it correctly, but we don't, we don't believe it. If you did it correct and these were the numbers, they have to change your number. And
Nice.
so it is really a nice thing, and it's helped Seattle. It's helped all of King County, Snohomish County in the past. That's how I knew about it, because they've done it there. So we did it here.
And I
And
just wanted to say, Joe, it's a testament to your leadership, because it wasn't something that you had to do, right? I mean, this is something
no,
that you took on yourself and said, "Hey, this is important."
yeah,
It's not resting on your laurels. Yeah, you're awesome. That's fantastic.
yeah. And so I do have a 4 o'clock, so I have to run because I noticed they just started the meeting. But I think Katie has some updates if you still have time about our
I do,
numbers.
I do. Well,
Okay,
it's good
great.
to see you, and we will see you
Yeah,
next Monday.
yeah. I'll see you next Monday.
All right, you got it. Thank you,
Okay,
Joe.
bye.
All right, Katie, it's me and you.
It's down to 2.
That's right. So you got some updates too. Look, everyone's got news today.
Oh,
It's like
for
Oprah
sure.
on here. You get a car. You get a car.
I just love hearing about the FMR survey because I really want to get more information about that, because that's just not about us. That's about our community and the funding, the many programs that uses that FMR information that we have to base our vouchers off of. And even if we get a pay above that a certain amount for our vouchers, it still is not enough. So it's exciting, and I hope that we find out those numbers soon so we can share them. To that, for our HCV program, our Housing Choice Vouchers, we have over 100 shoppers right now looking for housing in this very limited market. And again, with the FMR rate as it is now, there's just not a lot of availability that's also affordable. So it's just really been difficult. I think you've been in it too, and the people you've been helping. It's been really difficult to find housing.
It is really difficult, and but at the same time, we're super excited
Yeah.
because two of our larger families just got housing. And I tell you, when we were talking about the self-care piece of it, and I'll talk about it when Matt asks me again. It's getting people the housing, working through the hurdles and all the challenges, and finally getting them placed. That's the thing that keeps you going. So
Yeah.
getting that news and getting those families placed is just a huge deal. So it is tremendously hard to do. And one of the families was looking since July,
Oh,
and didn't get in until actually you guys did the inspection on my birthday. So on the 24th of January.
it just takes so long in a sense of understanding the barriers and then getting past them. I know we talked a lot about it last week when we talked about ready to rent, but I think I like what you mentioned, because there is something about helping person actually get through all that, knowing how difficult it is. But then at the end of it, you also are learning, you're growing as a person. And next time somebody comes to you, you say, okay, now we do these things. So that's exciting to be in that learning journey. So
and it helps from a empathetic standpoint to understand what they're going through, especially when it takes that long, 6-7 months to find something. And I almost had something, I thought this was good, and it failed because of something that I had no control over. Sometimes you get through a couple of hoops, and then it's like, oh, well, there's more hoops now. And it's like, when is just never ending. You find a spot you think it's going to work
yeah.
out, and just it's super stressful. So and that's just being a provider of trying to help and assist. So you can imagine what the families go through.
Yeah, I actually can't imagine, and I'm thankful for all of you who I help in a different way, and so I'm thankful for everybody who's taking those calls and making things happen. So appreciate it. We talked about waitlist before, so based on all these things that are coming up, and we want to launch this online platform. I know it was going to be fast, but we're waiting to launch it till we have all of the staff really in line. Because it's really going to change the way we do work, and we can get more work done. get more information out on in timely basis, but it's taking time. So I hear the wait list getting pushed out a little bit longer, but we're still planning to open it, and we really want this all to go smoothly. Like I said before, the accessibility part of actually getting this platform open, then maybe coming on the conduit and training on how to fill out the application is going to be really important. And then training the partners as well as those who have to fill out the application. So there's a lot of steps involved, but we're getting there.
And I know the original goal was for it to actually open today.
I know.
And I mean, KCR and BHA both are going to new systems, and it takes a lot to go through a new system. So if you've worked for a mid-level or large organization and they've gone from a legacy platform into something new, it is painful. And there's a lot to do to get that, to get those systems to talk to each other. And usually they don't, not very well. So,
well, and I appreciate that too, because usually they don't. It's really difficult, but also it's kind of the pressure of, okay, we're going to meet this timeline, so we're just going to push it out. And then we're closer, but still you got to push it out a little bit more just to make sure, because we're so used to doing it a different way. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay tuned, still coming.
Yes, stay tuned. We'll keep mentioning it. We'll definitely probably be the first to know here when we decide on a date.
I like it. But you're feeling optimistic it's coming along?
It's coming along. Yeah, there's we run very short, not short staff, but very lean. Like we have a lot of tasks. So just getting everybody on board to take on more, is a step. So we look forward to it though, and it's a very positive experience to actually get that waitlist open on this new platform. So yes, like I said, I'll let you know. But those are really my biggest updates for today. I know, man, Matt with his numbers, it gets me excited. It gets me excited to see how many people they're able to help, and that they're getting to this functional zero, and really able to prioritize evictions, which is why the money exists in the first place. So it's really exciting.
What's important about that also is when you're waiting either to receive funds for the first time or to get a second round, when you don't understand, the process or how it works, and you're just like from the end user, it's like, what's taking so long? I need help. My landlord's on me, and this is really stressful. And so really understanding the process from the other side is very helpful, information that you can take to your landlord. And as always, you can reach out to KCR, BHA, depending on who you're working with, and they can reach out and advocate on your behalf and try to, get through that conflict resolution and that communication and reassure that landlord, yes, help is coming. It's just going to take a little bit of time, and this is what's happening. So I think this is a really important piece to have, where people have that knowledge and information.
Even for us, that's why I asked that question earlier. Of course, I want everybody to benefit from the answer, but also I want to tell the front desk, hey, somebody mentioned evictions and they are not in one of our units. Well, I hope not. That would be horrible. But hey, send them to KCR. Make sure to forward your notice, because a lot of times we get questions because nobody knows who to call. So as long as we can give them the right resource and the right person, we can help them. So,
Katie, you just said something really important. I think a lot of times too, folks will think, well, you're both housing and you work closely together, so you should know everything that KCR knows. And live on air, BHA is asking KCR for clarification and questions, and it's like, no, we can't know everything, right? And so this is an opportunity not only for the community to understand, but for agencies to gain an understanding and have that knowledge come through also. So I love seeing that.
Get us on with the library. I'm sure we can learn from each other, or get us on with, that would be an amazing opportunity. I think the conduit is that's its purpose, right?
Is that a dare? Is that a dare? Because I'll do it.
Yeah, I know you would. I wouldn't mention it if I didn't think it was going to happen.
All right. I like it.
But I think we all can learn from each other. The more we just kind of connect in different ways, and not just, hey, here's a report. Hey, here's a report. We're done. We got to move on. But really just connect and have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have anything else for us today?
Not today, but it's always nice You're making me love Mondays again. I'll go with that.
I like it. That's what I'm talking about. Mondays are fun.
And besides, it's Valentine's Day. We have to love this Monday.
See, that's what I'm saying. You have any special plans?
No plans. Getting ready for vacation, actually. Talking about self-care. I'm going on vacation in
What? Where are you going?
Texas.
Oh, well, what's in Texas?
I'm graduating college.
What? Congratulations.
My master's degree.
That's huge. All right. So you got what can you tell us your alma mater?
Oh, it's WGU.
Nice. So you're gonna go down and you're gonna walk?
I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna take the opportunity. I finished it a couple months ago, but yeah, I'm gonna walk, and it's exciting. Yes. So.
Let me just say, folks, things like that are huge milestones in your life. I know there are, when I was teaching at Olympic College, there were a lot of students that were like, nah, I'm not going to walk. It's just an associate's degree. And it's like, it is your first degree, and you don't get the bachelor's or the master's without that unless you go straight to a 4-year. So, stop and smell the roses, give yourself an applause, bask in the moment, because you achieve something that's really important for yourself. So I love to hear
that.
Jackie's gonna go.
Thank you. I needed that.
Good.
It's too easy to not. It's too easy to say, oh, check the box and move on. But I want to sit there and listen to the speakers and be proud for a moment, right?
Turn your tassel. You know how hard you worked? How long were you working on your degree?
Oh, I started in 2020, actually. So just a year. WGU is an amazing opportunity for all skill levels to really just, if you want to go fast, you can actually get it done. So it's a master's of education, actually, Marwan.
Oh, nice. Oh, so we have the same degree then, huh? I like it. Go ahead, girl. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So it's good. It's in learning and technology, actually, what we're doing now. So I've said it before, but I think as much as we can say, if we need to have people understand what we say. So
yeah, for sure. And I'm so glad that you're going and walking. And Western Governors is an awesome university. And if you knew the history behind that, and I'm talking to the audience, it was a bunch of governors that got together and kind of created this way to get their education at an accelerated rate, which is awesome. But at the same time, 2020, it's 2022. It still takes time, and you still got to do the work. So
you got to be self-motivated to do that.
That's right.
Yes,
you absolutely do. So it's a big accomplishment. Yes, please, people. If you have some milestone that you've achieved in your life, please take time and celebrate yourself. Celebrate the accomplishment. Life is tough. Life is hard. We got a lot of things going on, and that's a big deal. It's a huge deal.
I'm taking my kids and my husband. I want my kids to see, that pride. I want to share that with them. So
nice. And I can see it. It's written all over your face. You're so happy.
So happy. Maybe vacation. I get to go somewhere else. Maybe somewhere warmer. Actually, it's supposed to be pretty chilly there. So
wait, when are you going?
I'm going on Wednesday.
Oh, whoa. Well, you might get snow in Texas. I know. I mean, that's how it is now. You don't know what you're going to get.
I know, but I know you have somewhere to be too, but I can talk to you all day, Marwan. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, when you come back, please send us, bring us a picture of you with your cap and gown on. We love that.
Will do.
All right. Well, as you know, everyone, Mondays is our time for the Bremerton Housing Authority and KCR. BK says, congratulations, Katie.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course I love Mondays, but as they were saying, just makes me love them a little bit more. Always a good information, a great way to start off the week. I hope that your week started off well. I hope that you have a good Valentine's Day. Treat yourself good today, treat others well, and we will see you tomorrow. All right now.